perspective, I would say that we love you guys, but you can become even more lovable. The challenge for policymakers is to make decisions in real time and trying to identify what works. And that information has to be accessible, it has to be user-friendly. And the good thing is the field has a lot of credibility right now. The challenge is practice is very diverse in the trenches, and that is a real threat to the field. So we would recommend that standards be established, because I think that is something that really needs to happen. I think that the challenge is not only to ensure that the studies are technically done, but they are also reported in a user-friendly fashion. So we would recommend standards for both technical practice and reporting to make sure that policymakers can pick up this information and do something with it without having to read between the lines, the footnote at the bottom of page 57, because they're not going to do that. I think disclosure is important so that people can understand what the control group really is, because they need to be able to understand, is this really replicable in my environment? What are the key elements of this intervention that's being tested? Because as we heard, policymakers are always going to have to make compromises in funding and setting up these programs. So the question is, what is it that I can compromise? What things can't I compromise? Because they are critical to the successful implementation of this intervention and getting the results that we need. So disclosure of what the research finds are the key elements that are critically linked to this intervention versus things that probably can be tweaked a little bit. Variability in outcomes. So is this being applied to high-risk populations, low-risk populations? The general population is important to know, because if I only have a certain amount of money, do I broadly cast it, or do I put it towards a pilot program that only serves a population that will have the biggest impact on that is going to be important. I think the issue, while it's somewhat beyond just technical CBAs, of making the information as useful as possible is critically important to the field, meaning that I have to be able to find this stuff. I don't have time in a legislative session to go find all the CBAs that are out there. The clearinghouses can play a critical role in bringing that information together. I think the clearinghouses have a little bit of work to do in terms of trying to standardize their approach to using this information and portraying it, to recognizing that will take some challenges, but states can go to a clearinghouse to identify what are good ideas, but they can't deal with, depending on what clearinghouse I see this program and it's rated 5 different ways. So I think that is something that needs to be there. I think one thing to deal with the file drawer problem is, why not, if it's a federally funded CBA, require it to be submitted to a clearinghouse? Therefore, all this information will come up. So it's not just going to be the positive findings that are being reported, but everything, because otherwise, from a policy perspective, we recognize we don't know everything that we want to know, but I feel we probably know more than we think we know, but most of that information is just sitting out there in unpublished dissertations and unpublished studies that someone sent to their agency but never saw the light of day. So I think we have to deal with this sort of in a holistic basis. So I think that the good news is the field has made tremendous progress. There's been great work on the theoretical level, the practical level. States are doing more and more of this all the time. The feds are doing more and more of this all the time. Let's make sure that it is as strong as it can be. As a thought of closing, someone once said, the work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, the dream will never die. So I think, no pressure, folks.